Brian Blessing with me here of Sportsbook Radio and Vegas Hockey Hotline. And Brian, let's chat about the Masters. You mentioned in the intro to our full show here that this is your favorite event, favorite major, your favorite betting event, obviously, the Dell Match Play, your favorite overall event here, the Masters at Augusta National. Before we get into the field and everything like that, what about this course? What sort of things are we looking for here at the Masters?
Well, one, we got to look at the weather, and we'll see what happens here today and tomorrow. But they had rain, so it should be a little softer coming in. But obviously the drainage system there is great. But on the weekend, rain is supposed to be part of the equation. So you'll always get in the first 2 days, it's Thursday and Friday. The draw is big, by the way, Adam. The guys that play Friday or Thursday morning and Friday afternoon, the draw is very big. Guys play Thursday morning and Friday afternoon should get the best of it because there's expected to be weather on Friday morning, and then it will clear up. So the guys that got to play on Friday morning could get the worst of the draw, and that happens in all these majors. And then there's rain expected on Sunday. But the leaders, basically, once you get to Sunday, you're looking at the last, 8 to 10 players would probably all have to deal with that of their own court. Now, the course sets up for, the majority of these holes are dogleg lefts. And to that end, it's one of the guys you have to look at, and I think you have to look at him virtually every year, and it comes down to whether or not he's playing well. And he is playing well. He's not playing horrible. He's had some really good moments this year. The course just sets up for Bubba Watson. The course sets up for left-handers, so you could say Mickelson too. But Mike Weir, Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, simple, low-hanging fruit, left-handed players in this era. And the reason is simple. The guys are hitting fades. You draw the ball. The ball's a lower ball flight. It's harder to stop. And if you're hitting a fade, it comes in higher and softer on the hard, fast greens, and that sets up for a left-hander. And Bubba Watson can cut corners that none of these other guys can cut with that big power slice of his. And he's hitting he's hitting an 8-iron into 13. He's hitting an 8-iron in on the par 5 13th hole. And so if his putting is serviceable and he runs hot and cold, that's the problem. But he's going to be hitting the ball coming in to greens that a lot of these guys I know everybody hits it a mile now. But I think Bubba Watson, the course sets up for him, and you got to look at him virtually every year here. And the only thing that would make me nauseated at him is, my God, watching this guy on Sunday playing a yellow golf ball, it's like he's playing a range ball out there. Augusta, with all the stuffy rules they have, they should say you're not allowed to play a yellow golf ball.
It's funny because earlier in the week at 5 Dimes, somebody was asleep at the switch because Bubba Watson was posted at 100 to 1. Now he's down to 35 to 1. So I guess somebody got fired over there over the last couple of days.
Kidding me.
Oh, I know. No, it was insane. I was looking at it, and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, is that like is there a different Bubba Watson that I don't know about? It was unbelievable.
Tell me you got a piece of that.
Well, like I said, he's down to 35 to 1 now. So, and this is, I think the interesting thing here about majors, we talk a lot about course form, and we talk about wanting to get guys that are very consistent at certain places. And there are guys that are consistent here at Augusta National that do regularly play well. But in these majors, it's tough to play well year in and year out. Pin placements, weather, as you mentioned, is a big factor. You don't get a lot of guys that are regularly racking up top 10s in the majors, and certainly not, the ones that change venues every year, like the U.S. Open, the British, and the PGA. At Augusta, at least it's the same course year in and year out. So how much do you factor that into the equation? Guys that have good form here, the horse-for-course types of guys. Brian, is still there?
Yeah, buddy. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what
happened. Sounds like it sounds like maybe you accidentally muted your phone there or something like that. But the question I had asked you is, in terms of looking at horse-for-course types of guys here, is that a primary part of the handicap for you?
Sure. I mean, Bubba Watson's the definition of that. But the Masters is also one of these tournaments where, look at the leaderboard. It's the same cast of characters that step up every year. My strategy going in every week is try to find contenders at overlaid prices unless you go all in on a guy, Rory McIlroy, 7-1, going for the Grand Slam. That's Tiger, great story. I'd be more inclined to play those guys in matchups, and for odds to win the thing, out of the gate, I'm looking for some grenade can contend, and then I'll come back with a world-class player who's 4 shots off the pace on Saturday at higher odds than he was to begin the tournament. That to me, that's when you play a Tiger. You get him at 25-1 when he's 5 shots back on Friday night. And so that's kind of the betting strategy for me. I mean, I'm looking at some grenade guys that can come in here. Molinari is playing great. Of the world-class players, Molinari is not getting the respect at 20-1. Paul Casey is a different player. He knows how to win now, and he's playing at a really high level. He's 30-1. Louie Oosthuizen was a birdie machine at the Dell Match Play at 40-1. And everybody remembers Bubba Watson's Houdini shot, but it was Oosthuizen he beat in the playoff, and Oosthuizen had the double eagle on number 2. And Louie's coming in real quietly. I mean, he had a shot to win the match play. Hasn't been seen since. But the last time we saw him, he was flag hunting. So Louie Oosthuizen, I had Charlie Hoffman at 40-1 this past week, and he gets beat by a Monday qualifier. And here he comes in at 80-1 in current form. He's had his moments where he's gone low. He's another guy that's maybe figured it out. Used to be an ATM machine, but now he's capable of winning. And then I got bomb plays. I got Cabrera Bello, Fitzpatrick, and Wallace. And I Matt Wallace at 200-1. There's no rhyme or reason how this guy's 200-1. He won 3 times on the European Tour. He contended in Florida, and he's been over here now getting acclimated. Now the Masters is a different animal. But I bet Fitzpatrick about 2 months ago, and the prices lead me Matt Wallace's way. And if you're a hunch guy, Cabrera Bello 100-1. There's something in the water for Spaniards, right? Seve Ballesteros, Olafable, Sergio Garcia. Is the next guy Rafa Cabrera Bello? I mean, he's a world-class player. Should he be 100-1?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a very good price that you got on him there. And you mentioned Paul Casey. Paul Casey, top 15 finishes each of his last 4 starts at Augusta. 3 top 10, 6th, 4th, and 6th. So he's a guy that definitely plays real well here. It's always interesting because I like to go with the course form guys. Obviously, they have some depressed lines and stuff like that. One guy that I kind of looked at a little bit here this week, I largely want to bring him up to get your take on him. Tony Finau. Tony Finau is not in overly great form here. He's played okay. He played a little bit better early on in the wraparound season than he's playing here recently. Last year, the hole-in-one in the par 3, rolls his ankle while celebrating, comes out there, that thing looked like a basketball, and he still finished 10th. And he was top 10 in 3 majors last year. The 25-1 doesn't excite me. I hope that the line, it's actually up to 45-1 now with some adjustments out there in the market. Finau is kind of a guy that intrigues me here this week.
Yeah, at the 50-1 range, yes, not at 25. And actually, it's a great point because you can see it now. If he's in contention Sunday, they'll show that 13 times over the weekend. Or he actually dislocated his ankle. It's ridiculous that he even played, but he played competitively, and he does. He hits it a country mile. And oh, by the way, he showed up on the major stage. I think in the U.S. Opens, he's kind of on the board. No, you can make a case for so many of these guys. The one guy we don't talk about, and he'd probably step up and beat me. He's just as consistent as they come. Justin Rose, you always got to consider. He plays very well here, and he doesn't make the thing about every guy I mentioned that I'm playing here, with the exception of Molinari. Molinari doesn't beat himself. I mean, he doesn't take the balloon number and shoot himself out of the tournament. That's the rub. You got to watch these guys. They're in it. They can. Paul Casey, he was leading the thing whatever it was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and he spit the bit. Now he knows how to win. So play the guys that just don't, they'll take their medicine. Sometimes you just got to say, all right, I'm up against, you don't need to hit the Phil Mickelson hero shot. Just don't shoot yourself out of the tournament.
Well, and that's the thing. What was it, 2016 maybe, when Jordan Spieth fired the snowman, and just kept going in the water? I mean, that's basically what it is here at this tournament, is you avoid the triples, and then that's what you said about Justin Rose. He doesn't beat himself, and he's a guy who's exceptionally good here. 5 career top 10 finishes at the Masters and hasn't been outside the top 25 since 2008. I mean, Justin Rose has just been so phenomenal here at Augusta. And like you said, I mean, that's really what it is you avoid those big numbers. And there are a couple of other guys I want to mention here, and I want to talk a little bit more about Spieth specifically. A lot of people like him this week. He's played so well at Augusta. Second, a win, second, 11th, and third, dating back to 2014. Not in the greatest of form. Played pretty well at San Antonio last week. What about Spieth? I mean, are you buying into this recent resurgence, or will you maybe look to fade him in matchups? What do you think?
I think I'd steer clear of him because he can win it. But he shot what did he shoot, a 41 on the front nine, 41 or a 42 the other, and then come back with a great back nine. His problem is he has a shot or two that is the death blow. And to back up the point I made of the betting strategy coming in, when Spieth hit it in the drink twice on number 12, 3 years ago, I had Danny Willett at 40-1 and bet him Friday night at 40-1. He was 3 or 4 shots off the pace. I'll always remember Spieth hitting it in the drink because I had Danny Willett. But the problem with Spieth, and it seems like he's got the putter going again, which is a big thing. But there's just that one shot in, doesn't his demeanor, I don't know if it irks you or I don't even know what the word is. It's almost uncomfortable watching him. Like, he's capable of getting red hot, but he just seems, everybody shoots holes at John Rahm for this, the fiery Spaniard, when he misses a 4-foot putt. I think Spieth has a lot of that in his game, too, where he gets down on himself.
Yeah, I think so, too. And obviously, I mean, this is not the kind of course where you want that to be a thing. He's overcome it most years to finish pretty well. But, in terms of getting over that hump and getting another win, I guess we'll have to wait and see. A couple more guys I want to ask you about here, Brian. I know we're running very long. I appreciate you sticking it out here with me. Brooks Koepka. We talk about guys that play really well in these premier big-time events. I mean, Brooks Koepka and the U.S. Open, I mean, they're kind of synonymous with each other now. What about him at Augusta? What do you think about him this week?
That's a tough one. I mean, his game is, the tougher the course, the better for Bruce Koepka. I mean, if you got to keep it in the short grass, in the rough in the U.S. Open, and he's a big, strong guy. When he does it in the rough, he can get it out. Koepka's the guy, to me, when par is a good score, he moves. He'll just hang around. He's got steely-eyed nerves. The problem is, at the Masters, I don't know that he goes low enough, because I think the guy that's going to win this tournament is going to shoot a 66 somewhere along the way. You're going to have that round. And the crazy thing is, too, is you'd love to see that 15-horse race turning for home where anything can happen on the back nine. But this tournament, it's amazing how it thins the herd by Saturday night. Look at the weekend, and it's this great thing. And then you get moving day, and then you get down to the fact that there's realistically 5-6 guys have a chance instead of 15-16. So that we were talking about Koepka. That's kind of my point. Every U.S. Open, you better be looking at him at the forefront. I just don't know the Masters suits him. I think this is a horse. This course, Lee Trevino was a great player. He didn't even want to tee it up at Augusta. I mean, he played a fade. He had no shot. He knew he was beat before he went to the first tee. This is a course because you can hit it out of the pine needles, and the fairways are wide for the most part. and you can hit it a country mile. It's a glorified putting tournament to a degree, and then taking advantage of the par fives and avoiding the trap door. The formula to win this thing, it's not that complex, but you have to do all of those things, because if any one of those aspects of your game's not working, the amen corner can get you, or one hole can take you out.
One more guy I want to ask you about here, Brian, and I'm not going to have a bet on him, but I swear to God I'll be rooting for him. And if he wins this thing, even though I'm not a huge golf fan, I'm just getting soft and emotional in my old age, I will be in tears for Ricky Fowler if he wins this thing.
With you. You still there? Did I lose you?
No, I'm still there.
Oh, totally, I lost you there. No, I'm with you. And, the one thing about Fowler, he's the best in the world coming out of the bunker. He's terrific. And his putting is sensational. And it's funny, when he wins, I think he wins the British Open, to be honest with you. This is the thing that's going to kill me, Adam. Well, he'll probably win this because I'm saying this. I spent the whole winter last year saying Patrick Reed's going to win a major, and I didn't bet him last year. I didn't think he'd win at the Masters. And I'm thinking the same. I think Fowler's really good. He's a good win player. He's a good links player. He's gone over to Europe, and he's won over there, and he's contended in the British Open. I think Fowler can win a British Open. But I bet you he contends, and he's there for a long time. He is the thing with Fowler. He is one of those guys where that disaster is out there. There's always he makes the big push, and then there's that one shot that the double comes into play or the snowman comes into play that takes him out of it. And I'm with you. If I got four guys going on Sunday and he's in there and he wins, I'd be the happiest guy in the world for him, because I agree with you. I think he's great for the game. In fact, a personal aside, since we've gone long, I'm sitting there at it was TPC Summerlin, and I'm doing a radio remote, doing my shows over at TPC. And as much as I follow golf, the tournament director comes up and says, "Hey, I got Ricky Fowler. Do you want to have Ricky Fowler on your show?" I'm like, "Sure, that'd be great." Who's Ricky Fowler? He's coming out of college, and he moved to Vegas. And before he made his debut, he lived here in Vegas for like a couple months, and he was practicing, getting ready. And it was going to be his debut. He come on the radio back then. He was just wonderful. He was the nicest guy in the world. And then was there for the start of the tournament, right by the 10. He actually hit his first tee shot. It was on number 10. Or no, it wasn't. It was number 1. He started on the front line, right outside the tent where we were doing the radio shows, and walked out and watched Ricky Fowler hit his first shot, his first pro shot. But he was the nicest, most polite kid. And, you would think some of these guys would be stuffy and think the world owed them something. And he was not that way then. And he, as you said, seems to be, if not the nicest guy, one of the nicest guys on tour.
I love that story, man. That's an awesome story, and hopefully you can tell that one, after he wins the Masters here this weekend. Brian Blessing, the host of Sportsbook Radio and Vegas Hockey Hotline. Again, I know we ran long, man. I really appreciate that. A lot of stuff for us to talk about here. Tell us what people can hear on your two programs this week and beyond.
Well, Sportsbook Radio, Vegas Hockey Hotline, weekdays, noon to 2 Pacific time, KSHP.com. I put out the shows every day on Twitter at Brian Blessing. This is going to be a great week. Adam, we're going to have Masters previews with Jeff Sherman, who does the odds over at the Superbook. That'll be on Wednesday. He's spectacular. He knows his stuff. And Wednesday on obviously the NHL will be going nonstop. Wednesday at 1:00, Golden Knights owner Bill Foley's coming in studio, and he's a classic because he's an owner, and he's been this way since the day he got the team. He says what he thinks. He's classic. I can see them back in the offices of the team. They cringe something, but he's great. He's like a regular guy that says what he thinks. And last year, and the funny thing is, here we go with another. You got time for a 30-second story?
Absolutely, go for it.
Foley comes in, And he like I was on the founding 50 committee with the team, and he's always been, comes in and does the show. So last year I got him to come in to do the show before the first round. So I said to him, hockey players are nuts. I'm crazy. My wife thinks I'm nuts. I'm superstitious. Hockey players are lunatics. I said, he hangs around the team all the time. I said, are you picking up are you nuts? Are you superstitious? He goes, yeah, very much so. So he did the preview for the first round, and they beat the Kings. So, of course, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid. So I get hold of Bill, and I said, well, you got to come in again. And I played the superstition card. I said, they won. You came in. You can't not do it. And he's almost like grunting on the other, like, yeah, you're right. So he comes in. He does the second round. Get it again. Oh, the conference final. You got to come in. So he kept doing it. He came in and did the preview for every round. So I played that card again, and I told him in no uncertain terms, I said, I will invite you for every round, but I will not extend an invitation to have you on the show for the final if you guys make the final. And he's laughing about that because it didn't work for the final. But so anyway, the superstitious owner of the Golden Knights will be on the show on Wednesday, and then we do hockey watch parties around town at Sunset Station, which are fun. Anybody in town here during the playoffs, come on out and watch a game with us at Sunset Station. Thank you for indulging me on that.
No, absolutely. I love it, man. You get a lot of stories, and, I definitely enjoyed being in studio with you a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully that'll be something I can do again down the line here sometime soon. Brian Blessing, again, Sportsbook Radio, Vegas Hockey Hotline, videos over on our Bang the Book YouTube page, at Brian Blessing on Twitter. Appreciate the time, as always, Brian, especially with the extended show today. Thank you so much, man, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Buddy, I love doing it with you, and it was great to see you. And, we got the Derby coming up, right? So we still got – I'm following your baseball work, but we got a lot. Hey, NFL draft. Don't forget the NFL draft's coming up next week. And that stuff's on the betting board. So there's enough stuff to keep us occupied.
Absolutely. Most definitely. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Have a good day.